But yeah, we got the general manager of the Greenville Reds on. That's good.
Yep.
So right here, I'm going to push back my, you'll like this as an Atlantan, I'll push back another day my Billy White Shoes Johnson cut. A 4-minute interview that somebody did with Billy White Shoes Johnson. I said, well, that might be fun to listen to and all that.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's a little bit, I know that's a little before your time and all that, but no, a historical note and all this. But so, we got the Chipper is not before your time, however.
That's correct.
So there you go. You know, I've interviewed Chipper before. I've always enjoyed him. He and Tomei, I've interviewed, and I liked them. I liked them both, and for that matter, I like the fact that I like the class here that we're going in. Anyway, start here. I got what the temperatures are, and then we're going to go to one more ad, and then we'll come to you.
Clear and 42.
Now, good.
In Johnson City, it's clear and 42.
Music.
I actually had a Hall of Fame voter on yesterday. So,
Oh, cool. I like that.
it went real well. His name is Bob Smizek, and you know I used to write for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, and he was their lead sports columnist.
Okay.
And so, yeah, he spoke of it. And, you know, he was one of those guys who discriminating taste for the Hall of Fame and all that. And, like, he didn't vote for Vlad Guerrero, but nor did he vote for Hoffman. But he did vote for Bonds. So, there you go. But, yeah, he was sort of the sports writer's sports writer. Johnny Majors actually once told me how much he liked Bob Smizek. It just came out of him. And, you know, no prodding or anything. So. Josh Brown is a podcast. Josh, where are you podcasting these days?
Knockahomanation, Marky. If you go to knockahomanation.com, KNOCK. We're also on iTunes. We're on Stitcher and Castbox. We're kind of anywhere podcasts live, Marky. That's where we are.
And, you know, there was big news with the Atlanta Braves yesterday because Chipper Jones, certainly one of the more popular players, I think, ever to play for Atlanta, is now in the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame, being now officially recognized as one of the great third basemen ever. And what are you saying about Chipper Jones going to Cooperstown?
Well, he was okay. You know, he was he was okay, Marky. No, but seriously, I put him and Mantle, you know, best two switch hitters of all time.
More than Eddie Murray.
Yeah, Eddie Murray's up there. Yeah, you could say top three. Okay, you could say top three.
Okay.
The Chipper and Mantle, only two switch hitters in history with 400 or more homers, with a 400 or more on base percentage. They were just, in my opinion, a little. Even though Eddie Murray's great, a little bit ahead of Murray, just in my opinion. I think his defense was underrated. I think there's a couple of years there where, you know, David Wright would get a Gold Glove when Chipper deserved it. You know, there was one year where Mizuno had in their contract with Chipper, if he wins the Gold Glove, they're going to give him a bonus. And Wright wins the Gold Glove, and it was so evident that Chipper deserved it more that Mizuno gave him his bonus anyways.
There you go. Yeah.
He's outstanding.
And I know that, you know, Gold Gloves oftentimes, and this would have been something that Chipper Jones would not have been by any means diminished by, but a lot of times people think that offensive performance actually helps a Gold Glove award and all that. Another thing is I think managers promoting you know, their players and all this. I can remember Andy Van Slyke would win Gold Gloves in center field, and Jim Leland would rave on because he had made him a center fielder, and then it came out that Andy Van Slyke had the worst range of any center fielder in Major League Baseball. So, you know, that's why Whitey Herzog had him in right field all those years. So, anyway, we're talking to Josh Brown of Knockahomanation. We're talking about Chipper Jones, but when I look back at Chipper Jones, I know he didn't win Rookie of the Year in '95. It was Hideo Nolan Nomo. And there was some
Uh-huh.
argument there because, Nomo was something of a veteran since he had played in the Japanese leagues. But nevertheless, there was a Nomo sensation that year. But certainly Jones, you can't deny what he did to the Atlanta Braves that year because that's the one year they won the World Series, 1995. And it seemed to me like that was the acquisition that made the Braves a complete team. How did Chipper Jones complete the Atlanta Braves?
Well, being an Atlanta native, a Southern guy, growing up, in that Southern culture as a Braves fan, it's weird to think if Chipper was on another team. If you look at '89, the Braves got that first round pick because they had the worst record in baseball in '89. So they got the first pick in '90, and instead of picking Tom Van Poppel, they go with Chipper. But imagine if they were just a little bit better and the Phillies were just a little bit worse in '89. Chipper could have been a Philly. Crazy to think about. But Chipper, he was a Southern guy. He kind of grew up a fan, and so to him it made sense. And I just love how he kind of did everything his own way. He wrote a book recently where someone maybe wrote it for him a little bit, but one of the stories in there was Scott Boras takes him out to dinner and basically courts him in an effort to get him as a client. And Chipper really didn't like the guy, kind of rubbed him the wrong way, and turned him down. And Boras promised him all this money. Chipper turns him down, and Chipper hires his best friend to be his agent. And I just think that's awesome. You don't see a guy like that. He stays with the same team his entire year, which if you're a Braves fan, that's just awesome. You don't see that a lot in baseball. Jeter was special with the Yankees in that regard. So it's really cool to see a guy stay. He could have hit the free agent market and got a lot more money somewhere else. He just could have. I think in 2009, he took a pay cut, a $6 million pay cut. Actually deferred his money. He ended up getting paid, but he took an immediate pay cut just on that year, which I don't think a lot of guys would do. So the Braves could keep Tim Hudson. And that's a small thing, and he ended up getting paid anyways. But to me, $6 million of your yearly salary is a lot, and there's just not a lot of guys, I think, that would do that. So I think he's a special guy. His bat was just ridiculous. He's also really clutch. People forget how clutch he was. He was so feared late in innings with runners in scoring position. Just so much fun to watch.
And I think another thing, and one of my heroes in this business, Myron Cope, used to talk about an athlete's name. And all the, why did he once want to write about Bulldog Turner? We're going back way ancient football players and not Mel Hein, because it's Bulldog Turner, right? Frank DeFord once said, if it was Larry the Snyder telling you football picks, you probably wouldn't have listened to him. But when it was Jimmy the Greek, he had to know what he was talking about. Chipper Jones, not Larry Jones, Chipper Jones. I think that of course, the nickname, a chip off the old block from his dad, and all that. I think that had something to do, especially in baseball parlance where we like, Moose Scourin and Goose Gossage and Chipper Jones. That was a big thing. It's why, Joe Carter, I once asked, somebody once, a non-fan once insisted to me that I had to be making up the name Joe Carter, that no one named Joe Carter could possibly have hit the winning home run in the World Series. That name was, it was John Smith hit the winning home run in the World Series. Who could Joe Carter, no one is named Joe Carter. So anyway, with this said, we're talking to Josh Brown of Knockahomanation. And I did want to ask, you mentioned how he played his entire career with the Atlanta Braves. Is Chipper Jones going to be the last player to play his entire career with the Atlanta Braves?
Man, Marky, the way baseball is, Marky, the way free agency is, the way the money is, he might be the last guy to ever play 18, 19 years with one team. It sounds crazy, but the way things are going, I don't know. Freddie Freeman will hit the free agent market in a few years. Do the Braves keep him around? I don't know.
That's one of, and I think he also is a product of his era, because certainly when he became a free agent, I guess he would have been eligible around 2001 or 2000, but the Braves were still considered a big market team at that time. You watched all their games on, TBS still and all that. That's not the case anymore. It's now you listen to them on 1420 NBC Sports Radio Tri-Cities, and so the Braves are not quite the big market team they once were, and that's one of the reasons I think of their place in the standings. We're talking to Josh Brown, Knockahomanation. I want to go on a little bit of the off-season moves and all, and move from the Hall of Fame. But I guess the thing that big news since the last time we talked was the Matt Kemp trade. Going to the Dodgers, and there are some people that even think that the Dodgers aren't going to use Matt Kemp, that he'll be just let go before too long. But Adrian Gonzalez seemed to be the plum in that deal, but then immediately the Braves, and I know this is a month-old story, but they then designated Gonzalez for assignment. He signed with the Mets, but the Braves still have to pay a lot of Gonzalez's salary. Why was this deal made? It doesn't seem to me like the Braves got anything out of this except a bill.
It basically, what it did, it front-loaded the money owed to Matt Kemp for this year. What it did is it basically freed up the Atlanta Braves to have more money to spend next year, right? So without getting into the minutia of all of the line items, in 2019, the Braves are going to have, I think, like $120-something million to spend, which is, for the Atlanta Braves, is a lot of money. I mean, I don't think fans realize that next year, next offseason, the Braves are set up, if they wanted to, because of this deal, they could go after a Clayton Kershaw kind of guy. It sounds crazy to think about, but this is what that did for them. It also allowed the Dodgers to basically stay under the luxury tax for next year. So the Dodgers, I think, the Dodgers and the Yankees, I think, are going to be players for Bryce Harper, and this deal kind of allowed them to do that. As far as Gonzalez, Gonzalez had a no-trade clause. He's in his mind, he's a first baseman. Obviously, the Braves had Freddie Freeman. Gonzalez agreed to be traded to the Braves under the notion that he would be released immediately, so that he could, be a free agent, go play first base somewhere else. And obviously, the Mets picked him up. So that's why that happened. So Gonzalez knew that was going to happen. That was agreed upon. But in my opinion, the Braves got Brandon McCarthy, who
good relief pitcher. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
I said good relief pitcher, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he could be a good starting guy. And the Braves don't have a whole lot of depth right now. They got some young guys coming up we've talked about before, but he's a good guy. Scott Kazmir, if he comes back healthy, he could be a decent bullpen piece. I like Culberson because he's from Rome, Georgia, my hometown. He's not good. I mean, he's a replacement level utility guy, okay? But if you watch the World Series in the postseason, I mean, that guy comes through in a pinch. He's just one of those guys that he might hit a .190, but my God, in the ninth inning, in a pivotal situation, I mean, he might hit a bomb. So, we'll see what happens with Culberson, but it didn't make the Braves worse, actually. It made them better, which is not saying much, but, yeah, I think McCarthy's going to be good for the Braves.
Josh Brown of Knockahomanation and Charlie Culberson both proving that Rome, Georgia wasn't built in a day. Other off-season moves, I mean, I see, a relief pitcher picked up from the Pirates that doesn't really figure to be much and all this, but what are some of the other moves that have gone on this off-season that you'd like to comment on, Josh Brown, for the Atlanta Braves?
Well, there's not a lot. The stove is pretty cold right now, as they say, Marky. But there's rumors going on, right? I mean, the Braves have a little bit of a question mark at third base, right?
Mm-hmm.
We talked about before. Do they stay with Johan Camargo, or do they go after a Mike Moustakas or
talked about
a Todd Frazier? So I kind of don't know what's going to happen there. There's been some recent really good articles written about how the Braves should go after, and these are just opinion pieces, but how the Braves should go after Mike Moustakas. I don't know. I like Johan Camargo. I think he's underrated, but I've been wrong before. As far as left field goes, there's a little bit of a power hole. I think the Braves are interested in getting a power bat. As far as depth goes, all they have really is nothing really as far as left field goes, and the minors coming up. You got Ronald Acuna, obviously, but I think that as much as I love me some Nick Markakis, I think the Braves are going to call Acuna up, put him in right. You're looking at them probably trading Nick Markakis or moving Markakis to left field, but they still need another power bat, in my opinion.
Well, you mentioned Acuna, and it seems to me in every trade rumor that I'm reading, that's the guy that people want, is Acuna.
Oh, yeah, everybody wants
Is he going, I mean, is he going to last? Is he going to, because it would seem to me that it would either be veteran presence in the outfield, like you say, or another position, third base or whatnot with the Braves, or it will be Acuna in the lineup in 2018. It seems to me to be an either or. What do you think benefits the Braves most?
Well, I mean, everybody's got a price tag on them in baseball, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there are some guys that, and it's a short list of guys on teams who are kind of untouchable. And I really think that Ronald Acuna is untouchable. I really do. I watched him play in Rome in person. I've talked to Randy Eagle, the former skipper for the Rome Braves, who's compared him to Andrew Jones. And almost every scout, like professional scouts and analysts, have said this kid, it's a mouthful, but this kid is like Andrew Jones 2.0. The numbers are eerily similar. They have the same swing. They're the same age as far as their timeline through the minors. If everything we've read is true on Ronald Acuna, you're looking at a superstar. Like not just like, and I know that we get excited about Braves coming up through the years, like your Sean Newcombs, your Patrick Weigels, and those guys. Ronald Acuna, I think, is just a different level. I think he is going to be a superstar. I don't think you trade him. I think you keep him. I don't think the Braves are even thinking about trading him. I think they're trying to figure out how to start him, actually.
All right, now, so an Acuna in the lineup, let's say a Freeman for 162. Is this going to be enough for the Braves to contend in 2018?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think you're looking at I think I've read some pretty interesting stuff from some national writers that say the Braves could be sneaky good in 2018, right? I think it'll all hinge on pitching. I think the offense is going to be good. I think Ozzie Albies, I think Dansby Swanson is going to be good. If you saw what he did in the second half last year, we know that he had a terrible first half. We've talked about it before, Marky, but I think Dansby is going to be fine. The Flowers-Suzuki combo, is that going to happen again in 2018? It'll be shocking if it does. They both had weird, amazing years.
Yeah.
I watched baseball long enough to know
A lot of pop in the back.
that's not going to replicate, more than likely. But I think it comes down to pitching. It'll be this next wave of pitching. Your Luis Gohara, your Max Fried, your Lucas Sims, those kind of guys. Are they going to really be what they think they're going to be? It'll all come down to pitching. So I don't know. I think third place team, I don't think they're going to be as terrible as they have been the last couple of years.
Coming down to pitching is the ultimate cliche. I'm going to throw something out to you. It seems to me, what with the 4-inning starter and the 13-man staff in which you have 6th-inning lefty situational relievers and all that, but not with great statistics either, I almost think we are in an era in which pitching means less than ever before. And I know, obviously it's still going to, they got to have somebody throw the ball over the plate, right? But it seems to me that, even when you mentioned a Clayton Kershaw or something like this, I was pulling my hair out during the World Series where I say they're paying this man $35.5 million a year to average 6 innings a start or something. I mean, it's just, what is going on here and all this? It's almost as if pitching now is less important than it ever has been. But anyway, Josh Brown, your takes are more important than ever. But I'm going to give my own takes on baseball here in the Hall of Fame when we come back. I might even throw in a Vols note or two if I've got the opportunity to do so. It's Tri-City Sports Now when we return after this on 1420 NBC Sports Radio Tri-Cities.